Welcome to the FSF Popcast live show.
Don't mind me. I'm just putting headphones away because I thought I had longer in that song to do that. Okay, so
it's like 5 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever.
This is also true. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're a little bit late, coming in hot today, trying to get started here. But we are so excited to welcome you to the FSF Popcast. This is our live at 5. Ta-da! Here we are. Yeah. So, doctor's appointments, all that fun stuff, kind of doing the Tokyo drift, slide in, hot run in, and there's a computer. Let's get this thing started. Anyway, yeah, they don't care about that. I'm just going to shut up now.
Well, I care.
And thank you, John. I'm glad that you care.
Of course.
But my doctor's appointments aren't why we're here to talk about what we're here to talk about today. Today, we are here to talk about the Acolyte and the season finale that aired last night, and by golly, by gosh,
I'd like to point out Star Wars posted it as the season finale, not series finale, season finale. I got a little giddy.
Yes.
And that was before I watched the episode, and now I'm even more giddy.
Yes. Before we get into this, obviously, as you guys know, as there has been every week when we reviewed this, there are going to be lots of spoilers. We're going to talk about things that happened in last night's episode. So if you haven't watched last night's episode and you care about spoilers, pause this, watch the episode, come back. Because this is honestly one of the biggest spoiler-filled episodes I think that we're going to talk about. Because there was some really cool stuff that happened in last night's episode. And I think that last night's episode was the first time in watching any Star Wars, except for maybe Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan and Vader were fighting, where I was literally on the edge of my seat, watching with like bated anticipation as to what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. It's flipping fantastic. And it was a whole lot, and it was a whole lot of good and a whole lot of awesome. And so I jokingly put out onto social media that if you didn't like this episode, that you may in fact not be a Star Wars fan. And some people took that the wrong way. I was not gatekeeping. Yeah. I was not gatekeeping. I was not saying you're not a Star Wars fan. I was so enraptured by that episode. I was just trying to joke around. Apparently my sarcasm font was broken. And it's on the shop.
Did you remember to put the /S at the end of your post?
No, I didn't. I needed
to. See, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Because even if you use the sarcasm font, other people, it doesn't show up correctly.
Well,
so you remember to do that.
/S. That's right. Okay. A lot of people know it's sarcasm. Yes, the Green Lady is totally sus. There's a lot to go. We have so much to talk about, including her.
Especially her. Well,
especially her. People on the internet taking something the wrong way. Is this your first day here? Yeah, I know, right? Welcome to the show, pal.
Kathleen, not Vernestra.
Yeah, exactly. As usual, my wife was right. Boy, you put that out on the internet. You're never going to hear that one.
I did, because everybody needs to know how brilliant my wife is.
So what'd you screw up today, John? Because you are kissing up pretty strong.
Nothing. I just like to point out that I'm one of her biggest decisions in life, and obviously she made the right choice.
Anyway, let's get into this. So we start off back on the island, wherever this island is, with Osha. He wants something. We don't want to talk about that.
So I saw this guitar. Anyway. Okay, Jason Newsted's going to be selling guitars on Reverb, and I'm a little geeked, and I just have to get back to work. And yeah, good stuff.
John Wass is also sus. Yes, he is.
Usually.
But anyway, so we see Osha and
Chimere
talking, and her eyes go black, and they're talking about everything because she has this helmet right here.
Yeah.
On her head. His eyes go black. There's like a flashback to Brendock, and he has to try and get that helmet off her head. But she has a force vision of May with a lightsaber and attempting to kill Saul.
Yeah.
And I put these two slides in. They're flippy floppy here. But then they're outside talking, and she says that the only way you get to go find May is if I get to go with you. So she's willing to lead him to May. But she thinks that she can save May before he can get to her. And so, yeah, they take off.
Right. But they're not alone.
No.
Are they, Tim?
No, they're not. Because this guy's watching.
Yep.
Who is it, John? Who is that creepy figure?
It is believed to be Darth Plagueis.
Oh, it's Darth Plagueis.
Is until now was only mentioned in Revenge of the Sith. Yes, there's a whole book. It's a wonderful book, but it's legends, so it doesn't count. So his age doesn't count.
What about his looks? Do his looks count? Does he look the same? Should he look the same? Because there's been some complaint about that.
Close enough. But we don't know what he's doing there. If he's been watching the whole time and Kymir knows he's there, if he's spying on Kymir, we don't know. There's speculation. There's anticipation for, as was already mentioned, it was a season finale, not a series finale, and that means that we have questions that can be answered in season 2. Not like Lost, where they never answered a thing.
Right. So this is one of those things where one of the questions we didn't get answered. This is one of the questions that has been created.
Yes.
Who exactly is this? It's believed to be Plagueis.
Yep.
And I agree with you. I think 100% it is Plagueis. But we have no definitive information as to who it is, what he is, where, why he's there. But all signs point to it being Plagueis because of the timeline and the creating life from the forest, yada yada yada.
Yep.
It would make sense that it would be Plagueis, not Tenebris, or any of the other Darths along that line. So, yeah, Plagueis.
Yeah. Right.
Which to me, go ahead. Sorry.
Ties directly into Revenge of the Sith. It's a wonderful little continuity thing there. We're going from point A to point B because these people have actually, done their homework on how to tell this story. They, it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to like every detail, but they know where they're going with this.
I agree. Okay. So we go from that to a scene of May and Saul on his ship, and he starts confessing what happened on Brendok, and May gets away, gets in a ship, and throws on this rebellion helmet.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little odd.
Well, I mean,
she needed to wear a helmet in a ship where nobody else has worn a helmet to fly any ship.
Maybe she's more comfortable that way.
Perhaps. Yeah. But then I thought it was also odd that there was,
I think it's weird that people wear hats on the internet.
Well, you have, your own. But she takes off through the rings around a planet.
Yep.
And you can kind of see the outline of the frost, the ice from the rings. Where here we have Saul targeting May.
Yes. So there's been some discussion of this online of like, what if he's trying to rescue her? Why is he trying to shoot at her? I don't think he was trying to shoot at her. I think that's a tractor beam lock.
I don't think his ship has a tractor beam lock. I thought he was trying to shoot her.
Oh, but how much sense would that make? Try to save her, but shoot her down and risk killing her.
Well, this is one of the so there's been some complaints online, as there is with anything Star Wars related as of the last 12 to 14 years.
30.
That there is some lazy writing. This is one of the areas where I have a problem with the writing. Out of all the things in the episode last night, this was the only thing I was like, this really doesn't make any sense. There's no explanation as to, I understand why he's chasing her. The chase made sense. If he's trying to save her, if he's trying to rescue her, if he's trying to explain what happened before she goes off and tells Osha, and then the two of them are both confused as to what happened, that made sense.
Right.
To me, it looked like he was going to shoot her down. That also didn't make sense. Right. And the reason why I say that he was going to shoot her down is because when Saul's looking back here, it's because this little fella here started pulling wires. which to me tells me that he was getting ready. If it was a tractor beam, why would Basil rip the wires?
Well, why would Basil rip the wires anyway? I mean,
this is where the lazy writing comes in my opinion.
Yeah.
The one thing in the whole episode where I go, they didn't have another way to get May down to the planet.
So they made a
reason for her to go down to the planet. So, so they pulled the wires here so he couldn't shoot her down, but he bumped into her and that caused her to spiral out and have to crash. And so I was like, oh, look, now they're both on the planet. That was out of all the things that you could complain about, this isn't high on the list. But I'm just explaining for people who did watch and maybe felt the same way that I did, that it was a little confusing as to why the chase made sense, but why is he going to shoot her? Why is Basil pulling wires? And why did they both end up on Brendock if that's not where they were intending to go?
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, before this, I swear, there were people online complaining that May said to Saul, "I'll see you in hell." It's like, well, there's no hell in Star Wars. Like, did you watch Empire Strikes Back?
Han Solo told people that he would see them in hell.
Yes.
My friend's out in it. Well, I'll see you in hell.
Exactly. But yeah, this is one thing where it's like, okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'm willing to let the aiming thing go because it could have been a tractor beam. I can kind of excuse that. But Basil pulling the wires made no sense.
Yeah.
And then how the ship sped up with the power had been pulled, I don't get either. But anyway, it's Star Wars. It's supposed to be fun. Details aren't the be all and end all.
I was going to say, that was the next thing I was going to say, is that we do have to keep in mind that it's Star Wars, and George Lucas started a very fine tradition of details not making sense or not exactly being necessary. So
there's space wizards with laser swords. Yeah, we can let details slide a little bit in the name of fun. It's the rule of cool at the speed of plot.
Exactly. So yeah, we don't have to have everything make sense, but I just wanted to touch on that just for a hot minute because, well, made sense that we should talk about it. And Kathleen, yes, there are no guardrails in space
except on Brendock because they had OSHA. That's twice I've been able to catch you with that joke now. Yes, I'm on a roll.
You know what the sad part is, honestly? Is I forgot about it. I forgot about the joke.
Well, because every time I type in OSHA's name while I'm arguing with people on the internet, because that's what I do in the mornings right now, it capitalizes it.
It capitalizes it to OSHA because,
every Wednesday morning, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to make the OSHA joke.
So, yeah, this morning while I was pulling images for this, I typed in OSHA wears helmet. And all I got were pictures of dudes in hard hats on job sites.
Wait, was one of them my brother-in-law?
Probably not.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But exactly. But yeah, so anyway, so we go from that to now May and Saul are on the planet.
Yep.
We have OSHA and Chimere circling the planet. They're getting ready to land. And Saul's running through the planet yelling for May, trying to find her. She has crawled up from the pit, which I'm assuming is how she, it kind of gets explained later that that's how she survived the first time.
Right.
And yeah, it leads to, well, this, which is one of the coolest fight scenes, I think, in all of Star Wars history. And frankly, I was worried that last night in watching it, that I was, watching it with a little bit of rose-colored glasses and just excited about it because it was Star Wars and it was and it's a laser sword fight and all these things. I watched it again twice today. Each time I was like, oh man, that's so cool. Oh man, look at that. Yeah. It's man. Yeah. Especially when Chimere does the whole pepper shaker twist and detaches the little blade off the bottom.
Yeah. And then he throws both of them.
Yeah.
And when they're coming back, Saul does that like Force Unleashed
baseball bat swing. Yeah.
Where he pushes the sabers and Chimere away.
Right.
Like there's some cool stuff in these fights.
Yeah. And two, I think I got an image of it. Yeah. Right here, a little bit of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they they came to the earth, and the way that Saul kind of back landed and then backslid with the force.
Yeah.
That was really very cool. Yeah, the whole fight was amazing. Absolutely.
I think it's Christopher Cohen who's been working on all these fights. He also directed the hallway scene at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah, that shows. That tracks.
Did some of the fight scenes in Wonder Woman and a bunch of other movies. He does fabulous work. It's not the same as, Nick Gillard's work, but it's okay to have different styles.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, just wonderful stuff here. Absolutely loved it. I could go back and watch it on slow motion or sped up, or mostly slow motion, just because it's so beautiful.
And then they had the tunnel above ground, the little walkway above ground, and there's just when Chimera lights up that red lightsaber in that hallway and thanks him for finding him. We make a good team. Whoa! I was like, oh, even to, like I said, it's the second day coming back and watching it today. I was as equally as excited about that fight scene as I was watching it last night.
Oh yeah,
nothing dissipated, nothing went away. There wasn't anything less where I was like, oh well, it's just a fight scene. I look at that fight scene like I do still with the Vader and Obi-Wan fight scene from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Also Christopher Cohen's work.
Yeah, that whole scene is just this episode was peak Star Wars in my opinion because of the way that the story was written, minus the one Basil pulling the wires thing. But hey, it's you got to get your less points out there. I mean, this episode was a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10 in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we take a half a point away to a point away for a little lack of smarts, I guess, for that. But yeah,
Chimere's fighting style, like they get in a saber lock, but he is actually pulling Saul's blade in towards his head.
Yeah,
so he can shut it off.
Yeah,
like
I was so hoping for it. I was kind of hoping that as he was pulling, he was just going to headbutt it again.
He was trying to.
I know, but he got it close enough. I thought he was going to, and I was waiting for that.
Yeah,
because that headbutt that we got in episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giggles. Lots of giggles over Chimere's fighting style and what he does and how he does. The aggression that he fights with is
and he is trained to fight Jedi.
Yeah.
Jedi are not trained to fight other Jedi.
No.
So that's why he has this huge advantage in every fight he gets into. Because this is what he's specialized. They're not.
I also have to say, I appreciate the dedication that Manny Jacinto put into the work as Chimera, because if you've watched any of his preparation and training videos, he's in it to win it. He's going all out.
Yeah.
In what he's done. And there's a couple characters in this show that I'm like, whatever. But for the most part, I think that the character casting has been on point. Saul has been a fantastic character. Just played beautifully by the actor. Chimera is amazing. Even though I think she's incredibly sus, the actress who's playing Vernestra is doing that role really, really well, because she's making you not want to trust her and making you feel the feels. And I think that I wasn't sold on May and Osha to begin with. I've had some problems with their conviction as to who they were and what they were and why they had, what their driving motivation was and all those things. But that's also in my opinion, looking a little too deep into who and what they are. And then I just kind of went with, they're space wizards. And I mean, they're still not my favorite characters, but I do appreciate them more now than I did back at the beginning of the show. And I think it's important that we switch the conversation to May and Osha because of what's coming next. May comes into the fight. She kind of interrupts things, takes the lightsaber away, gets the lightsaber away from Saul.
Yeah.
To make him admit what he did.
Right.
And to make him admit that he, in fact, did kill Mother Anastasia.
Yes.
And which is important because he, unbeknownst to Saul, Osha is standing right behind him.
Yeah, that's like classic television movie. You know, the character who didn't know finds out. What do you mean? You know, but
What do you mean Timmy didn't fall down the well? Yeah.
And of course, she
Exactly.
handles it as rationally as anybody would, finding out that, you know, you killed my mom.
Who's, you know, been foreshadowing for the last couple episodes that they're going to become the Acolyte and go to the dark side. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting too, though, that Saul reveals that these are not twins. They are not sisters. They are, in fact, the same person, but split.
Right. And that they were made with the Force.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me that while he's explaining that, Kymir's just standing in the background and like his eyebrow goes up with the wait, what? They figured out how to do what?
Yeah. I caught that too. Kymir had no clue as to how May and Osha came to be.
Right.
He just knew that who they were and what they were. And it was kind of like, say what now?
Yeah. You know, that's some interesting information. I might know somebody who wants to know that.
Exactly. We might have seen him sneak around the corner a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Diggs? Thanks for checking us out. But yeah, that's kind of a big revelation, finding out that because they're made from the Force, because of the vergence of the Force, there's the dark pit, there's the tree of light. That Brendock is exceptionally strong with the Force.
Right.
So yeah, which is kind of interesting because we kind of go from that whole spot, that happening, to this.
Yeah.
Stop talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stop talking.
That familiar, and I don't know about you, but to me, almost comforting rumble that accompanies anybody using Force choke, Force grip, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just I know what's happening. This is fun. This is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised that it was Osha, to be honest with you. I thought May was doing it.
Okay.
I really did. I thought May was doing it because I expected Osha to become the Acolyte at some point, because I've said for a couple episodes, and you and I have been talking about this offline, that, you know, she's the title character. She is the Acolyte.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, I just expected May to be the one to kill Saul. I expected her to be the one to complete the killing of all four, you know, or be involved with the four Jedi.
Right.
Because even though she didn't kill Kalnaka, she was definitely there and going to do it. So, yeah, it caught me off guard. I think it was one of those, for me, it was one of those cool surprises. Like, oh, all right, well, this is how we're completing our transformation to the dark side. Makes sense. Okay. So as soon as her hand went up, I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. It makes sense that Osha would do it.
Yeah. And Kymir using the line, you know, do this and your journey will be complete. You know?
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah, so, I mean, in the order that we've watched things, that line is borrowed from Palpatine in Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. But in the Sith tradition, in the actual chronological timeline, he's just borrowing from everybody before him.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably a common thing. Hey, do this and your journey's complete.
Right.
Just one of those things that becomes part of their, you know, their cultural vernacular. And I loved it. I nerded out a little bit.
It was good. Yeah.
It was.
I liked that line too. Yeah. I like it when shows like this foreshadow something else coming up in the future. It's one of those nice little verbal Easter eggs that make you go, ooh, they're paying attention. Okay, good. Yeah, exactly. But then as Soul gets force choked, we see this, which is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in Star Wars.
I almost jumped out of my seat. Like it was the dog was a little nervous because I was getting so excited.
Yeah. The crystal, I scream, I screamed. Yeah, there was In my house, there was some loud yelling, and my nervous little pit bull was sitting on the couch on the other side of the room, looking at me like, "What'd I do? What'd I do wrong?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There was some screaming at my house for that for sure. That was so cool. Watching it inside the end of the lightsaber, watching the kyber crystal go from blue to red, and then when she first lights up that saber, watching the red travel up the saber.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just got a little chill down my back just talking about it. That as many times as in legends and comic books and video games, there's been talk of bleeding of sabers and things like that. To actually watch it on screen, have it happen in canon,
Yeah,
is massively important.
right. And now there's been some discussion online of how easily she did it, because everybody else kills the Jedi and then bleeds the crystal later, whereas she bled the crystal not knowing that she was doing it at the time, during her dark side act, during her conclusion of that trip, which is probably why it worked as well as it did.
I also think that talks or leans into her being made with the Force and being much stronger with the Force than she actually knows that she is.
Yeah. It's one of those things, if she had stopped and thought about it, she might not have done it. But because she was just acting on instinct, it sort of happened.
A pure emotional reaction to what was going on. And as we all know, Sith are led by their emotions. Mm-hmm. They don't try to hide their emotions. They don't swallow them down and hold them back like the Jedi do.
Right.
They don't bleed or feign ignorance to them.
Right.
And the Sith allow themselves to be driven by emotion. So it would only make sense that in a purely and highly emotional state, that somebody who is A, created by the Force, and B, stronger with the Force than what she recognizes, would be able to bleed a kyber crystal right then and there.
Right.
But still, whether, you can argue, should it have happened there or should it not have happened there, but can we just enjoy the fact that a freaking kyber crystal was bled on screen in front of you, and just the awesomeness of that moment?
Yeah. Yeah. Just enjoy the fun that's there. It's wonderful stuff.
There was so much fun in last night's episode. And after the screaming, the scrumpting was over because of that scene.
Yeah.
We have Vernestra on planet with a whole lot of Jedi Knights running around.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's going on. She goes up to Saul. She sees him there. I do think it's interesting, though, that she realizes he's dead here. But the second she gets out of the plane,
yeah,
she says, "You."
Right.
And Chimera instantly puts on his helmet.
Yeah.
And the look on his face, he's scared.
Yeah.
He is shooketh, some would say.
Yep.
Yeah, he is scared. He puts on that helmet right away because he does not want her in his head.
Nope, not a bit.
So, which also explains she's got the Force Whip lightsaber, or the light, the light whip, and he's got marks on his back. So, kind of confirms where those marks came from.
Yeah,
that we were all kind of like, a couple episodes ago, going, hey, I wonder how he got those. Wait a minute, her whip does the wavy gravy thing. He's got wavy gravy marks on his back.
Yeah,
I bet you that's where it comes from. And everybody's like, yeah, maybe. No, that's it. Chimera is afraid of her.
Oh yeah.
So
because he was a Jedi a long time ago, so he knows who he's dealing with.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I like the fact that that's where we're at with the storytelling, is that we're getting some of these little things, they're kind of tossing those in at the end so we can kind of connect some of the dots before we go into a season 2. There's still some questions, like we said, there's been some things raised throughout this episode where we're going to have questions answered, but the simple fact that we have that ability, I think, is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So we go from that to some resolution. May and Osha realize that what's going on.
Yep.
Osha realizes that she is now in dark side, and she wants to go get her training with Chimere. May memory is wiped under they're at the light tree, and yeah, she
I
gets
wonder if that's the actual location of the Virgins.
at the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know because it would have to be. I think the Virgins would have to be some. There's got to be a middle ground. This is just my own thoughts. Somewhere between the light and the dark, the pit of the dark and the light of the tree. There's got to be the Virgins. I think is somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So wherever that is, I don't know, but I don't. Clearly, obviously, it's somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but yeah. But May gets taken back to the Jedi Temple where Vernestra meets up with. Well, okay, there's a slide missing. Anyway, I had a slide of the very unhappy senator in there.
Okay.
But it's gone.
All right.
But anyway, she has to go back and report to the Senate as to what's going on. And instead of telling them what's happened and that her former Padawan has turned evil and is doing all kinds of horrible things. It was all Master Soul, and he was a rogue Jedi, and he did some horrible, hideous things, and he's been covering it up for so many years. And
yeah, just throwing him under the bus because he's not alive to defend himself after she disposed of his body.
And to answer the question for people like, oh well, great, now they won't be able to say why the Sith were extinct for a millennia. Yeah, they can right here.
Right. They don't
she has covered it up immensely.
Yeah. She never saw a red lightsaber blade.
Yeah. Yeah. Who is the marmoset senator, or what species?
I would have to know what a marmoset is first.
I don't remember the name of the species, but it's the same species that's you see him in another movie as well, but this isn't the first time we've seen that species. I just don't remember what it's called. I'd have to look it up, to be honest with you. So
yeah, but the senator you were talking about, Senator Ralencourt.
Yeah, there you go. I want to say Ravencorp or some way.
Yeah.
But
I love that guy. I love his whole presentation when he's talking to Vernestra with well, obviously you need some oversight. We need to do this sooner rather than later. No, I don't. I'm presuming it's some sort of primate. Could be a bird. I don't know. Anyway, that's not important. Star Wars is important. You can take me to the zoo and show me a marmoset later.
It's a teeny tiny monkey.
Oh, okay, so I was close.
Anyway. Granzier says, how many episodes till season 2? And as Kathleen says, that was the season 1 finale, no more episodes until season 2. We don't know when season 2 will be yet. It hasn't even started being taped or actually even been announced yet, but we're all pretty positive that we're getting a season 2 just by the way that this show ended. So yeah. But we go from this to the end of Andor, apparently. And
except nobody dies in the scene.
Nobody,
the whole planet.
I did have to laugh though, because when this scene hit, and they, as they were backing out and they're showing Chimere and Osha standing there holding hands over the lightsaber, I was like, all right, where's the Death Star blast?
I was watching the cave in the background to see if I could see Plagueis back there.
See if Plagueis reappeared?
Yeah. I didn't notice him, but I could be wrong. I could have missed something,
You're welcome, Granzer. No problem. Absolutely. No, I didn't see him there either. And our last scene of the show, we go from that to Vernestra walking into a room to say, Grandmaster, we have a problem.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder what version of the story she's going to tell Yoda.
Well,
and is how, because here's the thing. Yoda has no problem with covering something up.
Obviously.
We found that out in the prequel trilogies. Yoda has no problem with a cover up.
And Clone Wars.
Yeah. exactly, during the Clone Wars. He has no problem with covering things up and hiding things from the Senate. And yeah, the good chance that Yoda already knows. And so when Kai Adamundi says in the prequels in the Phantom Menace that the Sith have been extinct for millennia, Yoda doesn't say anything.
No, he just kind of like side eyes Mace Windu, and Mace Windu kind of side eyes down at him with the all right, the plan worked.
Like the two of them know something.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this is where he is kind of clued in, even if he already did know, which I kind of think he does because, well, he's Yoda and he can sense a whole lot of stuff, but apparently not a Sith.
Oh, knows he does. Cares he does not.
Yeah. Knows he does. Cares he does not.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. Yeah. 0 craps give I. Anyway. Yeah. So this is kind of where we leave off. And there's one more slide here. And the reason why John and I both want to put this slide in the show, because out of everything that's happened and all the questions that did get answered and the new ones that we're going to have to wait to get answered, the one for John and I that did not get answered, and we're both kind of curious, what happened with Mother Coral? We see her. We never see a body. And in Star Wars, no body, no death.
Right. We didn't actually see Maul hit the ground.
Right.
We saw Jango Fett hit the ground. Guess which one showed up later? Exactly.
Come on, don't ruin that show with that. However, yes, he should be able to I'm not trying to ruin the show. I'm just pointing out a fact. He sat across the table with 6 other Jedi, and none of them could tell that Palpatine was a Sith. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to ruin anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to know what happened with Mother Coral, and is she involved in any other way? Grand's here got a laugh out of that. Good, sweet.
We'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm very curious as to what happens with her and where she went. Did she continue living on? And if not, how did she die? All that kind of stuff. It's a simple thing, but considering, that we've gotten a lot of the answers on other things, I'm just kind of curious about that one. So.
Yeah. It might be one of those things that we'll get it in a novel or a comic book that most people won't see. It'll get referred to in a show later, and it'll be really cool.
Right. Now, is it crucial or critical that gets answered? Absolutely not. It's just one of those inquiring minds want to know things. Yeah. And I have an inquiring mind, especially when it comes to things about Star Wars. I'd like to know more. And, it's definitely one of those things that I think we get one of the things we say here a lot. We'll get more answers, John, with what?
We'll get more Star Wars.
More Star Wars, and we answer the questions. That's right.
Exactly. So then we get more questions. Then we get more Star Wars to answer those questions, which means more Star Wars.
More Star Wars. It's a good thing. But yeah, so I'm anxious now to go back and watch, to kind of like binge watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Although this does put a kink in my rewatch. Because now I have to watch this before Phantom Menace, and so it adds something to my watch list.
And before that, you have to watch Young Jedi because that's 100 years before this.
Right. So you got to watch Young Jedi, then you have to watch this, then you have to watch the movie Fanboys.
Yes,
because that leads up to the Phantom Menace.
I love that inclusion.
It's canon, and you can't convince me otherwise.
That's right.
But yeah, this is I'm looking forward to being able to sit down and watch this and just honestly kind of like just shotgun through it and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And perhaps we can talk one of our favorite fan editors into cutting this down into a movie. Because I think there's some filler in a couple episodes that could be cut out and just, make a movie out of it.
Maybe.
Just saying.
Maybe.
Not saying, but I'm just saying. Never know.
Yeah, could happen.
You never know. But yeah, I think that's all I got for this. If you didn't like Acolyte, that's fine. That's your decision, and nobody's trying to force you into anything else. We're not going to gatekeep you. We want you to like what you like and dislike what you dislike. That's the way that fandom should be. However, for myself, this was peak Star Wars, and this was some of the best Star Wars I have watched in quite a while. And I love the fact how they involved different parts of different stories and tied it into future projects so that it had a very streamlined feel to the show, and it was threaded in to the rest of Star Wars. See, I used thread.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
What you're putting down.
What's up? So anyway, yeah. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this. We got a lot more Star Wars projects coming up, and I'm hoping that those are going to be better received than the Acolyte was. We've got the Skeleton Key coming up. Skeleton Crew, not Skeleton Key. Skeleton Crew coming up later this fall, I believe. And season 2's coming up.
Because I have a 5-year-old, the second season of Young Jedi Adventures starts next month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because I have a 5-year-old, that's my excuse for watching it. I have a 5-year-old. That explains all the Legos.
That's your excuse. So, but anyway, you know, if I'll just put this out there, if you're talking with your friends and they don't like Star Wars, they don't like Disney Star Wars, that's fine. There's no need to argue it. There's no need to fight about it. Just let people like what they like. Let people dislike what they dislike, and you enjoy it. Go have fun with it. Watch it. Talk about it. Find your people that like talking about the same things you like talking about. And your friends can still be your friends. They just might not be your Star Wars people. And that's fine too.
I have friends that listen to country music. That's all they listen to. Still my friends.
I like that. I like that. That's the line in the sand you drew.
Well, you know,
he's like, heavy metal, light side, country music, dark side. Okay.
We could do a whole thing on that, but I don't think it'll work on its way onto the internet because I'll probably offend 95% of the people I know. Rural Michigan is fun.
And on that note, kids and cadets, I think we're going to call it a day. Go have fun with your Star Wars. We hope you guys enjoyed this review. We'll be back for us live at 5s on some of the other upcoming shows on Disney Plus. We've got some stuff to review coming up. Granzier says, I'm that way with rap music. That's where I draw the line. Well, depends on who it is for me. There's mumble rap. That's not gonna happen. And then there's like Tupac and Biggie, you know. Have a good week, Tim and John. Granzier, you have a good one as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And don't forget to check us out. The upcoming this Friday, we have an interview with Aaron J. Walke that will be released Friday morning. Aaron is the executive producer and writer for Star Trek Prodigy. A really cool interview with him, and had just a ton of fun talking with him. So check that out Friday morning. It's also available on our Patreon right now, where you can get access to that for a whole George Washington. So anyway, yeah. Okay. Goodbye.
Copyright 2024 FSF Podcast. Reference any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.